Update, brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio's Update with Andy Wint.
Faster, my good evening. It's 5:30. This is Update for Friday, 11th of August 2023 from Manx Radio. 30 minutes to look at the latest news on the Isle of Man and background to the news and sport and business and Sea Watch and travel updates. And the newsmakers in person this evening. The fossil fuel heating ban in new build starts in under 17 months. The latest on the closure at Cummal Mooar. Don't be bothered that the airport's on notice, they say. 15 years in jail for importing cocaine and cannabis. And it's day one of the Royal Agricultural Show at Knockalo.
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
First of all, at 29 minutes ahead of 6 o'clock, the Update News headlines. Fastamai William King.
Fastamai, a man from Merseyside's been handed a 15-year jail sentence for importing cocaine and cannabis to the Isle of Man. 35-year-old James Spotswood of Townsend Street in Birkenhead was described as playing a leading role in a cross-border organised crime group. The new managing director of the Isle of Man meat plant says she's got plans to turn around its fortunes after a difficult period. Rebecca Mears told Manx Radio she's hoping to collaborate with others to solve issues around imports and labour shortages. 2 people have had to be rescued after their boat lost power whilst travelling from Cornwall to the Isle of Man. An RNLI crew from Holyhead towed the vessel to safety last night. Both crew members are okay. In international news, police say 3 people they want to speak to in connection with the death of a 10-year-old girl in Woking have left the UK. Detectives say they're working with international authorities to try to find them and are treating the incident as a murder investigation. Junior doctor strikes have cost the NHS about £1 billion, according to a senior health boss. The chief executive of NHS providers says hospital trusts are having to pay premium rates to consultants to cover the roles of those on picket lines. And more walkouts on UK railways are on the way. The RMT union is calling fresh strike action on the 26th of August and 2nd of September. Those are the Update News headlines.
Man Benham. Contact us by phone, video call, email or face-to-face. We're happy to connect with you. Manx Radio Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Jeremiah, thank you, William, from the Ronaldsway Met Office. There is a strong wind warning in operation for the North RAC. State of sea is moderate or rough, and this afternoon's Manannan sailing was delayed until 25 to 5, consequently coming back from Liverpool about an hour later than scheduled. Passing showers this evening on a fresh to strong south-southwesterly. Some rain after dark and down to 15. Cloudy and showery. First thing tomorrow, Saturday, Royal Manx Show Day 2 on that strong south-southwesterly. Then dry with sunny intervals and less windy as the day goes on. Top temperature 14 Celsius. And for Jadooni, Sunday, sunny spells, scattered showers and up to 19 Celsius. Sunset tonight, 2 minutes to 9. High tide's 9 minutes past 9. Low water, 21 minutes before 4 a.m. Sunrise, 11 minutes to 6. High waters at 25 past 9 tomorrow morning. And the matrix signs at Sulby, Hilbury, Bagaro, Burrell Place and Ramsey are all showing fog on the mountain.
Visit the Manx Glass and Glazing website and see a range of products from windows to doors, mirrors to splashbacks. manxglass.com.
A ban on the installation of fossil fuel heating systems in new homes on the Isle of Man will take effect from the beginning of January 2025. A year before it comes into being, building control authorities will reject new applications for new buildings and extensions containing fossil fuel systems. Policy manager with the Net Climate Change Transformation Team is Naomi Atkins.
If they've already put their application in and they're waiting for approval, they can continue to wait. Their application won't be rejected at that point. What they will have is until the 1st of January 2025 to get that fossil fuel heating system installed, because from that date it will become illegal to install the fossil fuel boiler. But until that date, applications that are already in will be processed as normal. Primarily you're talking about oil and gas boilers. We're not actually asking anyone to replace their existing boiler, so the ban itself applies only to new buildings. So we talk more at the moment about installation rather than replacement. But alternatively, alternatives include air source heat pumps, ground source heat pumps, direct electric. There's a lot of different options, and it will really depend on the kind of building that you're putting it into and your preferences. It's primarily to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and contribute towards our fight against climate change and towards our statutory climate change targets. Building heating is one of the largest areas for emissions in the Isle of Man, so it's a really important first step in the process of decarbonising all of our buildings.
Now, it's obviously quite a major step, and just to take an example here, what if if somebody has a building that's already running on a fossil fuel system and they want to build an extension to that building and extend heating into it, would that be rejected under those circumstances?
No. So the way that the ban relates to extensions is only if the boiler is being installed into the new extension. So a new extension is defined as a building, but it's only the ban is only on installation into a new building. So if the boiler is going to be in the existing property, that's fine. It's all about putting systems into newly built buildings.
Ramsey commissioners say they've met with the town's MHKs to discuss the potential closure of the Cummal Mooar residential home. Follows Manx Care's claim that the facility will be closed within the next 2 years and before a new home's been built, something the DHSC, the Department of Health and Social Care, has disputed. Commissioner Wilf Young from Ramsey says he's disappointed that the previous plans to replace the site on a neighbouring site are now in doubt.
I can't think of anybody in Ramsey who want that place shut. Why would they want it shut? They might end up in it one day themselves. I've never heard such rubbish as them wanting to shut it in the first place. And the new Cummal Mooar built will go on the site of Cummal Mooar, which is next door, if you like, or behind it. And that borders on Waterloo Road. But the people in Waterloo Road were not happy because they were going to alter the size of Cummal Mooar, and it was going to come right across the lawn, right to the roadside, right to the pavement, and it was going to be 3 or 4 stories high, and it would take all their sunlight and light from the front of their houses. That was the first plan, and they were all dead against that. The reason I was dead against it was because of that, plus the fact Cummal Mooar couldn't be in a better place than where it is. The sun shines on it all day, people can come out, they can sit on the seat on the promenade, they can look out to sea. Even when this new one is built, and they've got somewhere to go, fair enough, but it's this second one, which is in against Waterloo Road. What have they got to look at there? A road, and then they look out the other windows and they look at the back of a building. But this is the plan that was put forward a couple of years ago.
This is the most listened to Isle of Man news source, and Manx Radio's Update is the Isle of Man's most downloaded news podcast.
Fast of eye, good evening, 22 minutes before 6. The Manx public shouldn't be alarmed that the Isle of Man airport remains on notice by the Civil Aviation Administration, the Isle of Man's aviation safety regulator. The view of the former Department of Infrastructure Minister, Chris Thomas. He says many of the historical issues raised during the routine audits dating back to 2019 have now been addressed.
We've put out in the last month or so a call for expressions of interest in people reusing some of the vacant hangars and premises inside the terminal. We've got private sector investment waiting to go for the catering facilities. Most importantly, though, we've got a manager, accountable manager, who's addressing all of these safety concerns around the airport properly, so that the airport continues to remain safe. Also, I think the public now understands the point I was trying to make 6 or so weeks ago, which is that it's been difficult for airlines, and this is a particularly difficult summer for airline services. And I think we now need to work with EasyJet, with Emerald, with Loganair, as I think the airport is doing, to improve the services, especially end-of-the-day services. So the announcement that from 1st of August there were fewer runway closures is good news, and I think there'll be even more announcements through the summer and through the autumn about how eventually we'll get rid of all of the runway closures. We've also called for expressions of interest in those from those airlines and in other airlines to run routes to the northwest and to London, and that can only be positive. So the message I want to give is this is another example of positive progress that's being made at the airport. And what the DOI has been doing quite properly is it's been making sure that we've got an airport director in whom the Civil Aviation Administration are confident as for the accountable manager. The reason Swansea got closed was they weren't confident in the governance arrangements. They are confident in our management arrangements and our accountable manager, it seems, quite rightly. And what we were doing in the DOI is we're putting in challenge and support for the senior management by putting a board. Basically, we're going back to the 1980s. The airport in the good, glorious golden days had an airport board, and that's essentially what we're recreating.
The managing director of the Isle of Man meat plant says the short-term plans currently being developed to tackle ongoing challenges. On Man and Line today, live from the Royal Manx Agricultural Show at Knockalo, Rebecca Mear said going forward, collaboration will be key.
From my background in agriculture and commercial organisations, started having some conversations around the plant, and I just felt that I could make a difference, be a part of the change, and joined the group. There are challenges around imports, labour shortages, various different elements within the plant. What we're looking at the moment is some very short-term planning, recognising the situation that we're in now and what changes can be made now, and we are working. One of the beautiful things that I like is we're working on the future strategy of where we want to be as a plant, how we face into those market challenges, but we're working directly through the whole chain. So picking up with the farming organisations, with our own producers, right through to where we're going at the end product, to our retailers and butchers, and working collaboratively on what that strategy is going to be on for.
Sea Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
Motorship Ben McCree left Heysham at 14 minutes past 2. She'll be with us in the next 10 minutes or so onto the link span and departing this evening at 7:45. Back to Heysham at 11:30. The overnight departure 2:15 and in Douglas around 6 tomorrow morning. Manannan was delayed leaving Douglas because of the sea condition. She left at 24 minutes to 5. We'll get to Liverpool about 20 past 7 onto the link span there. He was due out at 7:15, so there will be a delay in the departure. Estimated time of departure is 8:15. Passengers are asked to check in no later than 7:30, and they're endeavouring to turn the vessel around as quickly as possible. Possibly 8:15. If she leaves at 8:15, she should be back around 11 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow morning's departure, 7:15, Manannan heads to Liverpool, 8:45, Ben McCree to Heysham, and remember, the motor vessel Manxman is here and raring to go next Thursday.
Follow the Steam Packet on Twitter for the latest sailing information.
A Merseyside man's been jailed for 15 years after importing cocaine and cannabis to the Isle of Man. Tessa Hawley was in Douglas Courthouse for Manx Radio.
James Spotswood of Townsend Street in Birkenhead was described as playing a leading role in a cross-border organised crime group during sentencing at Douglas Courthouse today. The 35-year-old had previously admitted being concerned in the production of the Class A drug cocaine. The court heard phone data linked Spotswood to the delivery of a parcel which arrived at a property in Douglas on the 6th of August 2021. It contained a microwave packed with 250 grams of cocaine, which had a street value of £24,000. Spotswood also admitted to being concerned in the production of cocaine and cannabis, which had a street value of more than £220,000 in June 2022. Prosecutor James Robinson described Spotswood as a significant drug trafficker involved in organised crime, who was integral to the importation of the drugs to the island. Spotswood's advocate accepted his Merseyside client had played a significant role, but asked the court to take into account the length of sentence so that he didn't become institutionalised. The court was told Spotswood would be seeking a transfer to a prison in the United Kingdom. Deemster Graham Cook told the court he'd noted a steady influx of drugs being brought to Manx shores, adding it is an awful, horrible situation for the Isle of Man to find itself in. Describing Spotswood's offending as being on a commercial scale, he also imposed a 5-year exclusion order from the island, which will come into effect when his prison sentence expires.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
At 5:45 now, United Health Group's acquisition of Emis Group, the former Egton Medical Information Systems company, received tentative regulatory go-ahead today, with the Competition and Markets Authority provisionally clearing the deal. The CMA shared its preliminary findings from the examination, indicating a provisional green light for the acquisition. While it was promising news for the deal, the CMA will still engage with the public on provisional results, leading to a conclusive decision by the 5th of October. And for a full daily market report, go to ramseycrookhall.com. Tapestry, the owner of Coach, the American company specialising in luxury accessories, is buying Capri Holdings, the parent company of Versace, Jimmy Choo and Michael Kors, for about €51 a share, or about €7.7 billion, about 60% above the average price for the past 30 days, the FT reports. Anonymous sources had told the Wall Street Journal that the sale had been under discussion for months. It gives Tapestry, which also owns Kate Spade and Stuart Weitzman, a huge push towards becoming competitive with European fashion powerhouses LVMH and Gucci owner Kering. Capri's market value is about €3.6 billion, a fifth of its peak in 2014. Tapestry currently is worth about €9 billion. According to Tapestry, the brands it would own after the deal was through had combined sales of €11 billion and adjusted operating profits of €1.8 billion in the past fiscal years. Shares in Capri Holdings were about 57% up yesterday after news broke of the potential deal.
The Stock Market Report, brought to you by Ramsey Crookall.
UK and European markets were lower as investors continued to digest earnings and the latest US dollar inflation data. The dollar headed for a fourth weekly gain. Oil gained ground amid optimistic demand forecasts, and gold prices were on track for their worst week in 7, helped by an overall stronger dollar and elevated bond yields. The numbers now from Ramsey Crookall at the close in London. The FTSE 100 down 1.25% at 7,524. The DAX in Frankfurt down just over 1% at 15,830. A short time ago in New York City, the Dow Jones Industrial up 0.1% at 35,215. The Nasdaq Tech Stocks Index down 0.8%, 13,623, and the S&P 500 in Chicago down 0.3% at 4,455. In the exchange markets, the British pound sterling trading at $1 26.8 cents, €1 15.8 cents, and 24 South African rand 3.8 cents. In commodities, gold is up 0.08%, almost 0.1% at $1,913 per troy ounce, and a barrel of Brent crude up 0.6% at $86.77.
You've got an investment plan?
Yeah, Mike set it up.
But don't you need loads of money to do that?
Not this one. It's called Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, and you pay in monthly as little as £100. So it's like saving regularly, really helping us invest in the future. For a house, or the kids' education.
£100 a month? I could easily do that.
You should. The sooner you start, the better.
Invest in your future with as little as £100 a month. Shearwater from Ramsey Crookall, the island's investment specialist for 75 years. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
Isle of Man Water Sports. Weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Here's the relevant information. If you're sailing, kayaking, windsurfing, paddleboarding, sea swimming, diving or surfing this weekend, basically, do take care tomorrow. Sea temperature is 15 Celsius, and for Saturday the wind is southerly or southwesterly, force 5 or 6, veering southwesterly 4 or 5. Saturday evening wave height 1.5 to 2 metres, wave period 5 to 6 seconds, and high tide 9:30 a.m. And for Sunday, Jaduni, the wind is southwesterly, force 3 or 4, increasing 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Wave height 1.2 to 1.8 metres, wave period 5 to 6 seconds. High tide is at 10:30 a.m.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate. Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates.
Farmers and food producers are proud to show the public what they do on a daily basis at the Royal Manx Agricultural Show. So says the show secretary, Carol Kenyuk, who's been discussing this year's event at Knockalo.
It's where the agricultural sector can showcase what they do day in, day out. They can show this to the general public. The standard of the animals you'll see tomorrow on the show field is second to none, and the exhibitors are extremely proud to be able to do that.
And of course it all continues tomorrow. Saturday, of course, very busy. Just what can those attending tomorrow look forward to?
Saturday is our main show day. This is when we have all of our livestock, cows, cattle, sheep, heavy horses. They're all on display and being judged.
And in terms of local produce, Carol, this is a great opportunity for island residents to come along and sample what the island has to offer, the very best in terms of food and drink. It's all there.
It is. We have our own farm and garden tent where locals can show what they've grown in their own gardens. Again, the DEFA has the Manx Food Producers Marquee, again, which highlights the food that is produced locally.
Now, we mentioned a couple of times this morning, obviously traffic around the area will be busy, particularly tomorrow. It's usually the sort of lunchtime period when you get lots of people heading out. So through St John's, the Patrick Road and around the Patrick area. But there's lots of signs. I've seen them already driving through the west over the last few days. You've been busy getting them out. But if people follow the signs, parking should be really straightforward.
Parking's very straightforward. If you're coming along the Patrick Road, you will be laned. If you're an exhibitor, you will turn right. If you're a visitor to the show, you will turn left and be directed to our public car park.
Manx Radio Sport.
Master My Dave Moore.
Master My, the Isle of Man's coming home with 2 bronze medals following 6 days of competition at the Commonwealth Youth Games. The event in Trinidad and Tobago drew to a close last night. They were both won by cyclist Ruby Oakes in the women's road race and individual time trial. The next Commonwealth Youth Games is due to take place in 2025. FC Isle of Man have a few players missing for tomorrow's game against Padiham at the Bowl. Manager Paul Jones says striker Sean Doyle is definitely one of the non-starters.
Yeah, Sean's we've been managing a few niggles really, so he's not in the squad this weekend. And there's a couple of others that have been managing niggles as well, and we have quite a big squad and we have a lot of players that we trust. So rather than make things worse and lose players for longer periods of time, it gives me and others an opportunity to give it a go when they're fit and healthy and fresh. So there are a few kind of people missing from this week due to either niggles or availability with other things going on. So it just gives other people an opportunity to come in and show that they're more than a match to play at this level and earn the shirt. And if they can do that, then they stay in, and those that are missing for whatever reason have got to work hard to get back in the team.
There's live commentary of the game, which kicks off at 6 o'clock on Manx Radio's DAB and AM 1368 channels and online at manxradio.com.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Inbound at Ronalds Way, couple of delays. The 5:25 Loganair from Manchester didn't come in until a couple of moments ago. The 5:30 EasyJet from Manchester, ditto in at 10 to 6. Later inbound, the 5:08 Loganair from Liverpool is on time. The 20:08 Loganair from London City is on time. And the 8:30 EasyJet inbound from Gatwick is on time. So outbound, the 5:30 EasyJet to Liverpool didn't go out until 5:45. The 6 o'clock Manchester EasyJet is looking on time at the moment. The 6 o'clock Loganair to Liverpool, patient transfer plane on time. And the 9 o'clock EasyJet back to London Gatwick is on time. Mountain Road's closed tonight from 6:30 to 10:30 between Barrule Park, Ramsey and the Craig. They're cutting hedges and verges. Remember, tomorrow you heard it's the Royal Manx Agricultural Show. Big day, the show day tomorrow, so expect traffic to be busy around Patrick and St John's. Watch out for the signs. The Ballymena Road in Jerby's got phase closures for water main replacement. Temporary lights on Quines Hill in Port Sodrick for ditching work. Garth Road's closed between Tosseby Road and the Foxdale Road near Foxdale for bridge replacement work. And in Peel, East Quay still closed between the House of Manannan and the road bridge for work on the road and pavement. In Douglas, you've got temporary lights on Victoria Road at the Falconcliffe Terrace Junction for water main work. And York Road still closed for resurfacing between Woodburn Road and Ballaquair Road. Hillside Avenue is closed for adjacent office window replacement till the middle of June next year. And in Farm Hill, Annika Road and Cusher Road are closed in phases for resurfacing.
H&H Motorcycles.im for all your motorcycle requirements. Southgate Industrial Estate, opposite Quayside Tyres. Call 665646. Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690-300.
Faster Mile, thanks for joining Manx Radio this evening. After the news at 6 o'clock, Dave Moore is back with Friday Sport Preview. But first, the Education Minister says she wants to use a review of sex education to ensure the approach is consistent across the Isle of Man. The executive summary of the investigation's second part has been published, and it recommends says that teachers are fully trained before students' relationships and sex education. Education Minister Julie Edge says the pause before bringing back RSE will enable changes to be made.
I think it's really important from a school's point of view and from an education point of view, as the Minister, that we do communicate well with our parents. There's all sorts of communication mechanisms already in place in our schools, but with regards to actually the content of curriculum, giving parents that option around RSE particularly to opt in or opt out is going to be really important. I'm keen to see that our teachers are delivering the best quality for our students and that parents can be confident in that, but also that the same curriculum is delivered throughout the island. And this has been focused around one of our secondary schools, as in QE2. However, we need to make sure that the curriculum is delivered with high quality from our teachers in all of our schools. We won't come forward with a revised curriculum until we're completely satisfied that it's the appropriate curriculum for the Isle of Man.
That's it for Update Tonight, compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's news department. Thanks to newsreader William King, producer Rhiann Evans. Chris Kinley's here with Greatest Hits at 6:30. Howie Kane with some jazz at 9, and Rhiann, The Late Show at 10.
WINT.